Hey girls, welcome. In today's video, this is gonna be a fun one. It's more in my meal planning type of video where I'm gonna show you how I actually make my pizza dough. This is part of how I prep and get ready for the week over the weekend. And Sunday is one of the days that I will designate to make sure that I have everything that I need in my fridge and in my freezer for the week for lunches and quick and easy dinners during the week. And so I'm gonna show you how I make my pizza dough, which is so tried and true that you can also use the dough for so many other different things. I'm gonna show you how I make it and how I actually store it in my fridge so that I can use it all week long to make delicious pizzas on the fly. Stay tuned. Okay, you guys, we're going to make my most delicious pizza ever. You're gonna do 3 cups of warm water, and don't do too hot, because you will kill off the yeast. Then we're gonna do 2 packets of dry yeast. Each packet is 2 1/4 teaspoons, so I add just 4 1/2 teaspoons. And then I do about 1 to 2 tablespoons, or no, 1 to 2 teaspoons rather, of sugar to get it to bloom. Once it is ready to go, I'm going to add 1 cup of olive oil. Now this makes a lot, which is good because it's going to last you to make all different fun things all week long. I mean, it doesn't just make pizza, girls, and I'm going to make another video just to show you. It's like pizza dough 10 ways. So in here I'm going to do a tablespoon of salt. And now I'm going to show you the flour I use. I use an ancient grain, and it's heritage wheat. So there we go. It's heritage, and I buy the big, huge, I think it's a 25-pound bag. I mean, I work through this sucker. And it's heritage wheat, never been touched. It's like kamut, where it's non-GMO, organic, not hybridized. It's amazing. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have... my son's girlfriend is like celiac, and she eats it with no troubles whatsoever. So kudos to the heritage wheat, let me tell you. So I added about 4. When you add flour to your doughs, it depends on the humidity on your home on how much you're gonna need. So I just start off, this is a big batch, so I say start off with 4. I'm gonna have the link down below to my recipe on my blog. So that you can grab it for yourself. But, and of course, I'm just gonna mix it and see. Now you're gonna want the finished dough to be able to wick away from the bowl and form a beautiful dough ball. So I'm gonna keep on going here until I add the perfect amount of flour, which probably ends up to be about 7 cups. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking for with the dough ball. As you can see now, it's wicking away from the bowl. And look at how clean the ingredients are. We've got some olive oil, some salt, and some water. So it's a pretty nice dough, and I've been using it for 20 years. So I say that with all my recipes because that's how tried and true they are. Every single one of my recipes that are tried and true, like these doughs especially, I've been making them for years, as long as I've been first a mother. So it's been a while, and you're gonna love this pizza dough. It's not only good for pizzas, but I mean, honestly, for so many different things. But today we're gonna use it for pizza. We're gonna keep it in the fridge and use it all week long to pop out pizzas for lunch. So any of you moms out there that are looking for some quick lunches, I mean, honestly, oh my gosh, the pizza tastes so good, even just at room temperature. So you could cut them into squares, put them after you've baked it off, put it into squares the next day to put in your kids' lunches. absolute perfection. So I am getting this. I'm gonna let the machine do some of the kneading for me before I take it out and knead it. So I'm not only going to show you how I put this in my fridge to prep for the whole week, because it's going to last a good 5 days in your fridge with no problem, and it actually does better the longer it sits. I mean, and you just take it out, warm it, put it at room temperature, and bam, you're ready to make pizzas in a hot oven. So right now, though, I'm going to do a little bit of kneading. I'm going to show you a little bit how I knead bread dough. And I'm even going to show you how I make the family pizza. So I'm going to be making some pizza, and I'm going to save the rest for the week. So talk about simple, where you're just kind of, you know, being able to pull out bread dough and then make quick pizzas. Super simple, super, super simple. So you're going to use the palms of your hands, more like the heel right there, and you're going to use the heel of your hand, if you're new at this, to push on the dough. Just change its position, kneading it into it, and there we go. So now I'm going to let it rise. Okay, and then here I'm going to just put it right into the pan and let it rest for about an hour. Okay, now what I'm going to do is show you what, after it's risen once, is when you're going to want to put it in your fridge, and I'm going to show you how I do that, and then I will then show you how I would make the pizza. So here I'm just taking it out. I'm going to get a gallon size bowl. Now, there's a little bit of tricks here, little hacks here for knowing what to do when you go to refrigerate your bread dough. Because number one, it's frisky. Okay, it's going to want to rise like a beast when you put it in the fridge. So I grab my gallon size bag. I'm labeling it pizza dough. And I use this really great little white marker that I love that's on my Amazon link. And I do that to label everything in my fridge. And so I just use a little olive oil in my bag, and I put my dough ball in there. Now the trick is, get it down there at the bottom, okay? And you're gonna wanna leave it a little bit of some air at the top. Don't go zipping that sucker all the way across, because it's gonna blow up in your fridge. It's gonna pop, it'll literally bust out any way it can. Through the top, rip a seam in the side of the bag. I've seen it, it's just happened to me so many times. So what you do is, now you're going to have to remember that you did this, but you leave the crack of it open and then put it in your fridge. And then just make sure that you zip it up before you go to bed, and it should be fine. In the morning you can adjust it and, you know, punch it down just a tad, but by that time the dough is retarded at that point, so it is not going to be going anywhere. It's perfect. So by the next day, I'm going to show you now how to take it out and make a pizza. It's like the best pizza you'll ever make. Let's go. Okay, so I am going to simply get out, this is one of my favorite pizza pans, and I'm just going to use this crusty, just a little baking sheet as well. And I'm going to oil them really good. This is so key, oiling them, because it almost makes them like they're fried in it. It's that good. So they just, that crust gets all crispy. It's amazing. So I just really sauce it up and get her good. And Blaine wants a personal pizza, so that's why I did the baking sheet as well. He wants his own little one. So I just pinch off however much I think I need. And I'm going to use this one for, now this is actually, when I did this, this is leftover dough that's been in my fridge for probably 5 days, and this was after a pizza party I had for Wesley, my grandson, so this was leftover dough. So this literally is me, pizza day, for my, you know, how easy it is to just pull out some dough that was left over. All I got to do is roll out dough and pop it in the oven, you know. Now I always keep pizza sauce in my oven too. That'll be the link in my bio, how you can make quick and easy, no cook pizza sauce, keep it in your fridge. Easy, 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 easy. So if you wanted to make this completely dairy-free or something like that, you can either make it with just, maybe put some pesto and a bunch of veggies on top. That's delicious. Or, of course, just make it really traditional, which is what I'm going to do. Got actually it turns out pretty big, but he really eats it up. And then I'm making the real big one here. For the family. And this one should, it's a traditional size. It'll fit that big pan, making it nice and thin. Everyone's waiting for it, even the dog. Okay, I think I've reached its size. The best thing to do when you take it out is to make sure it gets to room temperature. Mine is actually a little bit chilled, and it still turned out amazing. I've just tried it all ways, and the best way is when it is thawed. But this actually turned out quite amazing, despite me not being able to get it all completely not thawed, but at room temperature. So here we go. They're all ready to go. And here's my sauce. I'm going to link you below how you can do it. And this is how I keep it in my fridge so I can make pizzas all week or for dinner. For dinner or lunch. It's pretty perfect. And it's just literally tomato puree with a little bit of sugar and spice, and you're literally done. The sugar makes it. It just makes it this, and tomato puree makes it. So I really just made this up myself, and the way I like it is a thick paste, and tomato puree does that. And the more it sits in the fridge, the thicker it gets. And it just really, just like the dough, it just gets better with time. So I'm gonna go ahead and lather up each pizza. Your family's gonna love you, mind you. You're gonna be wearing a crown, queen for the day. Also, I like to just put my ground beef on there, pepperoni, but just get out your favorite toppings and put it on there. I'm going to cut up a little bit of red onion and some mushrooms and black olive for my husband and some more boys, and then I'm going to do just pepperoni here for an onion for Blaine. That's how I'm going to do it. Okay, and now I'm going to get some of the onion on, and of course what's really fun about making pizzas is kids love to be a part of it as well. So I've got Blaine with me, my youngest, who wants to make his own. And always remember when you're adding cheese not to add too much. It honestly, less is best. So we put a little bit on, and he then wants to add his pepperoni. And of course, I always try to do the very best of the best of everything that I do. So I always like to get the uncured from Applegate Farms. No nitrates and things like that. So he likes these real big ones. And but this time what we're going to do, since his pizza is small, I'm going to just take them, I'm going to chop them up into dice and dice them up for him. So we sprinkle those all over the top. And you know how I make my pizza as well is that I always do the cheese first. That way the pepperoni gets nice and crispy. Who here doesn't like pepperoni underneath the cheese that's soggy? Gross. So I always do onion at the bottom, and then I add my cheese on top as my layer, and then everything else goes on top, and that way it gets nice and beautifully, all the veggies or whatever you put on top of it gets nice and roasted. So, and crispy like pepperoni. So we're gonna put these big ones right on top, and then I'm gonna add, I have our grass-fed ground beef, and so my husband loves that, and so I'm going to put I just kind of take like the ball, just take a slab of it and I just kind of spread it all over the pizza, as you'll soon see. Which that too gets, I just use it raw. I never ground up my beef first. I put it on raw. And I just put little balls all over the top, just kind of spread it out all over. And then in the oven, it just crisps up, get nice and brown and yummy, and it's just so perfect. So that's my hack for pizzas and how I do hamburgers. So you're missing a step here if you feel like you need to go ground and mess up a skillet to go do your ground beef. You never do that. I just put it raw on top. Okay, next step is putting my sliced olives on. I'm also doing half and half here. So my son Brock does not like anything other than just the pepperoni and cheese. So my husband has the other side of the olives, and I'm doing some mushrooms and black olive, and it would be pepperoni and ground beef. So okay, and then what I also love to do is sprinkle a little bit of granulated garlic on top. It is chef's kiss. It is amazing. So doing it on both just adds that extra zest on top. Love it. So putting one in the oven here, and then the other one will go in my other oven. And I put it for about 12 minutes at 500 degrees, ladies, 500 degrees. The hottest you can get your oven is what you're gonna want to do. Okay, it is indeed ready. Both pizzas done at the same time. Check out how gorgeous. We've got a split half and half pizza here, and then we've got Blaine's. So good. I love to use, this is actually raw Parmesan, putting it all over the top before I serve. So now a great way to know how you can make pizza for your boys before you send them off to school is like Blaine's size over here, which you'll see in a minute. And then you can just cut it, honestly, you cut a slice, put it in a Ziploc bag, it's perfect at room temp. And if you're a homeschooling mom like me and your boys are around all of the time, or if it's summertime, obviously you've got options now for lunch where you can serve them yummy pizzas for summer when they're home, or if you're homeschooled, it can be part of your lunch options, which is pretty awesome. Girls, here you have it. It's a showstopper, absolute showstopper. Now, let's make dessert pizza. So dessert pizza is so good after you make pizza. My boys were freaking out. I haven't made this in a while. So I had some more pizza dough in my fridge because I used up that bag. And let me show you how I make it. Okay, so I just took out some dough. I did let it sit on my counter for a while before I did this, and all you gotta do is roll it out as size as your baking pan, or you can put it on a baking sheet. I'm gonna go ahead and use my same pan I just washed it out, that I used for the boys' pizzas. Now I'm going to roll it out, and I oiled up my pan already so that it just really just kind of crisps up that pizza really well. So the oil is a necessity for that pizza pan. So here I'm just going to stick it on in, Literally takes 7 minutes in the oven as well. Same piping hot oven. About 7 minutes is all at 500 degrees. So while that, you can kind of let it sit there, and then as it sits, the dough relaxes and you'll be able to really stretch it out to the side. So while that sits and relaxes a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead next and melt my butter. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to par bake this crust for about just a couple minutes is all at that 500 degrees so that it can get its cook on, so that when we put on the streusel, it won't take that crust won't take much longer to bake. So same oven temp, just a couple minutes, and in the meantime, we're going to get our streusel made. And how we make this streusel is you're going to do 1 2/3 cup flour. You're going to use some white sugar, some brown sugar, and then you're going to use some cold butter cubed, and you're going to use either a fork or a pastry cutter to, break it all up and to cube all that little butter all diced in and make everything kind of like just granule, and that way you can pour that all over your crust. Okay, the crust is done for the dessert pizza. Do you see the bubbles in that crust? Insane. Insane. Delicious. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pour over some melted butter on top. Now here I missed a step, so I compensated by later putting the cinnamon on top, but you're supposed to put some are you supposed to put some cinnamon on top of that butter, and I had forgotten. I don't think the kids noticed because they ate the whole thing. But what I did was at the end, I just added sprinkled cinnamon on top. So here you're going to put your streusel all over this crust. And I kind of press on it just so that the butter kind of saturates it. I'm reading my blog here, making sure I'm doing it right, but you're going to want to make sure that it's all covered and coated all over the crust. Okay, so now we're getting ready to plunk it in the oven, 500 degrees for about, it was like 5 minutes actually. That's how long it took, and it was bubbling and delicious. Now while that's in the oven, I'm going to make the icing, which is so easy to do, and it's simply 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of cream, and a splash of vanilla. And then you're just going to give that a good whisk, and you're good to go. And I love adding vanilla because it really makes like a caramely type of flavor to it. Absolutely delicious and insane. I also want mine to be very runny in this case. So like if I do cinnamon rolls, I'm going to frost them. I make it thick and I don't add much cream. For this, I want it to be enough that I can make like a drizzle on top. And so I'm adding more cream until I get that kind of consistency. So it's just to each his own how you want to do it. But I think drizzle is definitely best. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. Ribbons of sweetness. So here we go. And I think it's time to take out. Okay, it is out and it is done. Do you see that? The brown sugar and the white sugar. Oh my goodness. With a little bit of flour and some butter, it really turned out amazing. Now I'm going to just drizzle the icing on top, which makes it so yummy. I don't know, I think Godfather's makes this. I don't know if they still do. But there's my cinnamon over there to the left. That's what I forgot. So I sprinkled that on top. And I don't even think it's in the shot, but I did later. So yum. So don't forget it, and you'll see that in the recipe. But do you see how gorgeous this looks? I hope you enjoyed this video. These are my tried and true recipes. This is my pizza dough that I've been making forever. It's a surefire way to make easy dinners, easy lunches for your kids that are homemade from scratch and so delicious. I know your whole family will love them. Share this recipe, and until next time.